the media continue to cover for everything Democratic, including Joe Biden, of course. I will say that there have been a couple of outstanding examples of the media covering for the Democratic Party. The use of fact checkers as the Democratic Party cover story is incredible now. So there's been this lie that's been going around for years that these fact check sites are completely unbiased. PolitiFact and factcheck.org and Snopes.com. They're not politically unbiased. They are all staffed by members of the left. And this is becoming perfectly obvious in every possible way. YouTube is now using independent fact checks from Snopes.com to back Joe Biden. So if you search on YouTube for Joe Biden and fracking, a fact check comes up, an independent fact check comes up from Snopes.com. Did Biden propose a ban on fracking? Rating, mostly false. So now if you even search for things about Joe Biden, YouTube is preemptively white knighting on behalf of Joe Biden. That's exciting. By the way, the same thing does not apply to the Steele dossier. If you search Steele dossier, there's no fact check suggesting anything about the Steele dossier, even though that thing is a piece of Russian disinformation. So that was one just note on fact checking. The fact check organizations that are being used to launder left-wing values into social media, right? YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all using these left-wing fact check organizations to push propaganda. They say, well, if the fact checker says it's not a fact, we obviously can't push it. Okay, who fact checks the fact checkers? The answer is nobody, because the left will not allow that. They just call it a fact check when it really is just a left-wing opinion piece. My favorite example of this, though, was not the YouTube thing. It was yesterday from Meg Kelly at the Washington Post. So I'm going to play you a clip. This is a clip of Joe Biden suggesting that George W. Bush is still president. Okay, that is what it suggests. Then we'll get to the fact check. Okay, because what I'm saying, according to the Washington Post fact checker, is a 4 Pinocchio claim. 4 Pinocchios. Okay, that is a 4 Pinocchio. If I say that this is Joe Biden mixing up George W. Bush and Donald Trump, that is a 4 Pinocchio claim. Here's the entire clip.
If someone is undecided or maybe thinking about not voting, why should they vote and why should they vote for you?
Well, first of all, the reason they should vote is that there's a lot on the ballot this year. I mean, this is the most consequential, not because I'm running, but because who I'm running against. This is the most consequential election in a long time. And the character of the country, in my view, is literally on the ballot. What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of George, he's going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.
Okay, so 4 more years of George. Okay, and Jill, if you can't see this because you're listening, Jill mouths the word Trump. She mouths it, right? So she knows that he has gaffed and that he has said George W. Bush. Okay, she mouths it in the middle of the clip. Here is the Washington Post fact check. No, Biden did not confuse George W. Bush and Donald Trump. The video clip that Republican National Committee Rapid Response Director Steve Guest tweeted late Sunday night seemed to be the stuff of opposition researchers' dreams. Just 27 seconds long, it appeared to show Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden criticize former President George W. Bush as the person he is running against. The snippet seemed to be evidence of a nasty theory the Trump campaign has been pushing for months. Joe Biden is senile. Okay, the facts. The I Will Vote concert was hosted by comedian George Lopez and political commentator Ana Navarro. The segment begins with what looks like a fancy Zoom call. Navarro and Lopez are each in a separate frame, as are the Bidens and a sign language interpreter. Lopez asked Biden why undecided Americans should vote and vote for him. As Biden begins his answer, the frames of Navarro and Lopez are dropped from the screen, and then there's the long quote from Joe Biden. Then he stutters, 4 more years of George, are going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we are going to be in a different world. Or was it 4 more years, George, it's hard to tell. Okay, this is the Washington Post fact checker. With his caption, Guest answers an unspoken question of just who is George, suggesting that Biden confused Trump with former President George W. Bush. But viewers have no idea that Biden could have been referring to George Lopez, who had originally asked the question. Biden spokesman Andrew Bates said he was addressing George Lopez, the interviewer, as is a common practice. No, he clearly is not. I'm sorry, he is not. If your defense to this is, we need 4 more years of George Lopez, then I'm going to need to know exactly how you think that makes sense. 4 more years of George are going to find ourselves in position where if Trump gets... Okay, so the Washington Post gave it 4 Pinocchios to suggest that Joe Biden mixed up Donald Trump and George. By the way, Joe Biden has mixed up whether he's running for Senate or President of the United States. He's mixed up which university he went to. He's mixed up which state he is in. And he has mixed up before people in the audience. He, for years, has been doing this sort of stuff. He literally said during the Obama administration, he said to a man who was wheelchair bound, he asked him to stand up at an actual event. That is a thing that happened. Joe Biden's been doing this for years, but it's a Washington Post fact check now. So if I say this, then maybe YouTube will slap a fact check on me for playing you the entire clip and then explaining to you the entire context. I will be fact checked now. The use by the media of these fake fact checkers in order to stop anybody from disseminating in a different point of view is truly ugly, and it is just left-wing white knighting. End of story.